Darren Wiechek. Spelled like Wixek.
Come on,
Now,
computer.
now, aside from being, of course, a thanatologist, are you a paranormal investigator as well?
Yes, I am.
Awesome. Oh, this is going to be good.
I've had two ghost tours, Shepherdsville and New Lou in Louisville.
Okay.
Many books I've written. Got some more coming out. So
Okay.
All right.
At the end of our podcast as well, we have our world famous 3 questions that we ask everybody. So once we get to those, right after that, you'll have an opportunity to plug whatever you want to. Let people know where they can buy your books and all that social media and all that good stuff.
okay, cool.
All right. We're live on YouTube. What's up, YouTube?
YouTube, how we doing tonight? After being gone for a little while, we are back at it.
Yeah. Exciting. All right. No rules. Say what you want, how you want to say it. You can say the F-bomb as many times as you want. We don't care.
Nick will
Cool.
Nick will take full advantage of that.
We will double your numbers.
I love it.
Normally, I would say, go get a drink, go to the bathroom real quick, but you're in the car. Well, I guess you can go to the bathroom if you want to, but that's
And
all.
technically she could drink. I wouldn't advise it, but
All right. We're good to go, Sean. So whenever you're ready to go, I'm ready to go.
okay, give me a second here. Ah, crap! Stop it.
You're a Thanologist.
She's Thanos, dude. She has the
Thanos.
blood and his stones and everything.
All the bling. All right.
That is exactly what I thought when I first heard of it. I was like, how cool.
Yeah, about 15 minutes into this, you're going to regret doing this.
Oh, you're giving her that long?
I mean, most people will stick around. Well, YouTube, it is here. I finally have a physical copy in my hand. Excited. It actually reads like a real book. It's great.
It's like a real authentic book. Now, once Nick learns how to read, he can actually read his own book.
Yeah. Well,
it's all right. We'll start out with the small words first.
The end.
All right. Well, they're starting to come into our YouTube here, Nick. So if you're ready to go, I'm ready to go, man.
Let's do it. Let's hit the record button.
Okay, here we go. You ready?
No turning back.
Welcome back to the Old World Paranormal Podcast. We are at episode 121 after a little bit of a break that Nick and I took. Lots of things going on with us and the team, and Nick and his big fat book. For those of you that aren't watching us, aren't watching us on YouTube, we just talked about how once Nick learns how to read, he can absolutely, maybe, you know what? I think an audiobook will be in the future once we do that. I think that'd be pretty cool. But Nick's new book available now on Amazon, paperback and digital, if I'm not mistaken, is available now. Yes,
that is correct. That is correct. Yeah. Well, ebook won't come out until the 26th.
Okay. So. And the 26th will be a wonderful day if you are out in Gettysburg at the Gettysburg Battlefield Bash, because guess what? That's where we'll be for the second year in a row. We're going out there for a little bit longer this time to have some more time to explore. We had such a good time the last time, not just at the Bash, but Gettysburg is just It's amazing. I absolutely love it out there. And we'll be heading out that way early next week. And I'll be in close confinements with Nick once again. Yeah. If you ever go on an investigation on a battleship with Nick, make sure that you are walking in front of him down the narrow hallways, because once the Taco Bell kicks in, it's over.
I mean, that's the only reason why I go.
The only reason why you go, yeah, just to annoy the shit out of me. Anyway, tonight, well, actually, I want to talk about a couple things here. Recently on Facebook, I put a little mystery post. I put that we're having a guest coming on here in the very near future, actually, 2 weeks after we get back from Gettysburg. And I put some teasers on there and asked people if they could guess who it was. And I think I pretty much stumped everybody. So for those of you that are listening, some of the clues that I dropped were the FBI. I put an FBI badge on there. I also put Comedy Central logo, and I also put the TMZ logo.
Problem is, you stumped yourself.
How'd I stump myself? I know who it is. Well, I think I've got everybody stumped.
I know who it is too, and I'm excited for it. But honestly, I mean, bro, we have Thanos here tonight.
We do have Thanos here tonight.
She's got the glove and all the bling. I mean, bro, it doesn't get any better than this.
It doesn't. It doesn't. But I'm talking about the teasers, because aside from him, I recently got another one. And I think you know about it, Nick. But if not, I'll let you know after the show.
Did you get a confirmation?
From one, but not the other yet. From the past people, not the current person. Gotcha. And you'll know what that means. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and drop the spoilers for that after the interview tonight. So head over to the Old World Paranormal Podcast Facebook page, or my page, or it'll be a Nick's page and Bree's page, and you'll see who our special guest is coming up August 9th. But tonight on the Old World Paranormal Podcast, have you ever given thought to the topic of death and things surrounding death? Because if you're in the paranormal field, death is a huge part of what it is that we do and what we're involved in. And so tonight we have a very special guest. She refers to herself, and I think it's pretty true, as a real life Lydia Dietz. If you guys are Beetlejuice fans out there, don't say that 2 more times.
Beetlejuice.
Oh, see, now you screwed it all up. We have, like I said, the real life Lydia Dietz, Jenny Floyd. Jenny is a thanatologist. Now, that's probably the biggest word Nick's ever heard in his life, and we're going to talk about exactly what that is. So, Jenny, thank you very much for taking the time out to join us tonight on the Old World Paranormal Podcast.
Thank you, guys. I'm enjoying this very much.
Yeah, give it time. You'll want to leave. little button up in the corner says leave room. So yeah, I don't know if you sent me a friend request or I stumbled upon you on Facebook, however that worked out. I accepted it, and once I saw that you were a thanatologist, I was like, okay, that's cool. We can really dive into this. So why don't we start off by telling everybody what that giant word means?
Yes, please. I need to know.
and spell it out for Nick.
Yes, please. Small letters.
Thanatology is a new science discovered by a Russian scientist. I am not going to say his name because it's very hard to pronounce.
Is it Putin? No? Okay.
We do have 4 listeners in Russia, so.
It deals with death, and I like to think it deals with life, too. It's kind of like a political science, if you think about it. How do we cope with death? And, like, we have funerals, or we prepare ourselves, How do we grieve? Like Day of the Dead.
Right.
Okay.
So
it's a celebration of life. It's like an anthropology, if you think about it. I'm the Indiana Jones, right?
Okay. Well,
so you're digging up dead people. No?
and
No.
getting chased by giant boulders and cracking whips.
Okay.
Right.
Okay, so
So
is thanatology a something that you can go to college
Yes,
and learn, get a degree in?
yes, there are different certifications now. There is actually a college in Wisconsin, I believe. You can get your bachelor's and master's. It's really came a long way.
Okay. So this ties in with psychology and things along that same line.
Yes.
Okay. And real world application. How does that work? Like can you open a thanatology office, or is this like a private thing? How does it apply to the real world?
To the real world, a thanatologist like myself, what I've been doing is women clinics, like dealing with death, like loss of a child or a natural disaster, say if a tornado or a hurricane, or let's see, or you could work with hospice.
Mm,
There's a great opportunity now with thanatology.
mm,
so when you it's kind of a broad spectrum. So in the hospice part of it, are you helping somebody prepare for death
Yes, in the family.
and the family? Okay.
Yeah, like a counselor. Yeah.
Okay. Now, as far as what would be the big difference between, you lose that loved one, and a lot of people, end up going to just regular therapy to try to work through it versus going to somebody like you. What is the main difference here?
My goal is to focus on getting like the now, the living, making goals to cope with it, like how to remember your loved one, death positivity of it.
Okay. Because we literally, I just had a conversation with my mother last night because we lost our stepfather, 14, 15 months ago.
I'm
And,
sorry.
she's still struggling with it, trying to sell her house and, move on from all that situation. And we literally had talked about it last night about, hey, maybe you probably go talk to somebody, therapist or whatnot. So, it definitely, it falls in line with us, and the curiosity always kills the cat. This is something I've never heard of.
Right.
So
So I've got a question. I've got a question here on YouTube already. Is this something that there is a demand for? Because it kind of seems like this could be a direct tie into the funeral process and that entire thing. So is there a demand for thanatologists?
There is not, but it's slowly coming up. It People are becoming more accepting of death and how to deal with it. Hospice is, I mean, they're big into this. You know, it's like I said, it's a new science.
Mhm.
But yes, most funeral directors are getting the thanatology certification, and they use that for their clients.
I I guess I would be more interested in the fact of the hospice part of it. I mean,
Right.
how do you sit down and, sometimes the people are not coherent, when they get to hospice, they're almost half in a coma, so it's more of dealing with the family. But sometimes, the people are there, they're cognitive, how do you do that? How do you prep somebody for death?
You just have to celebrate their life, and it's very hard. I mean, I'm new to this, but you just you counsel them. You focus on what they're feeling and what they want, as when they're in that process.
So you're a hand to hold through the entire grieving process, like an outside entity that they can probably say things to that they wouldn't want to talk about with other family members.
Right. to counsel them. Yeah.
That would make
Okay.
sense.
Yeah.
The other aspect, I want to bring up is, do you talk about the afterlife?
Um, yes, if they are open to it.
How do you bring that up to them?
Well, that's not one of the first things you bring up, right?
Right.
Um, you just ask what their beliefs are, because I mean, you usually know before you're going in, right? But it's kind of like a slow process to, talk to them about it.
I was going to say that that's got to be difficult because depending on the religious background of the individual, I mean, you have to be prepared to, well, I guess, how do I phrase this? If you are personally a religious person and you have your own belief system, when you're talking to these other individuals that have different belief systems, how do you do that without trumping your own?
Well, my focus is on them, whatever that person is wanting, even if I don't believe the same thing or agree with it, it's about them. That's my number one concern.
Now, when you go to school for this, do you have to study, some aspects of theology, with the religious aspects?
Yes, that is yeah.
Okay. So I would think that would play a huge role in it.
Yes.
Okay.
As a thanatologist, you can also be a clergy. So you're part of
Oh
that.
yeah, I would see that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, no different than a funeral director. I mean, that's just something that you go to school for, just kind of like add to your repertoire of what you can do for your clients, the dead and the living.
Right.
Mhm.
Um, I mean, the aspect of death is really all about the living people. That,
Right.
once, we all die, I mean, we just move on. Like this part of life is over. Everything else has to do with, your family and your friends and loved ones around you that are left to pick up the pieces and to grieve and everything else, you know. Um, and I think you're right. I mean, society has come a long way with the death process because there are so many different options and people are requesting different ways, one, their funeral.
Myself, I wanted to have a green burial. So that's something I'm trying to,
Now you want to turn into a tree or you want to turn into compost? No, for real, because a
Yeah.
friend of mine, she was a funeral director, but now she runs, well, she still is, but
Mhm.
she runs Lindenwood Cemetery here in Fort Wayne,
Oh,
and
cool.
there are, I mean, and I follow a couple people on social media, and then Ireland, one of our old teammates, she went to mortuary school in Chicago.
Mhm.
So we've got kind of the inside track, and then the old building we used to help run used to be a funeral home, but you laugh, you're like, oh, my sister wants to be a tree, so
That's
but
kind of cool when
now,
you think about it, though.
huh?
That's kind of cool when you think about it, though. I mean, you'll be existing forever in some
Right.
form,
Well, yeah, until they cut
even
the
if they
tree
cut you
down and
down
you
and turn
become
you into a
toilet
roll
paper.
of Xerox paper. I mean, either way, it's
I
still
mean,
pretty cool.
think about it, Sean. This would be the ultimate payback for you. I die, they bury me, and I become a tree. You tear down the tree, you make toilet paper, and then you wipe your ass with me.
I was kind of thinking I become a tree and you're picnicking underneath me, and I decide to fall on you, and then you join me in the tree kingdom. But no, that
I
is
can
pretty cool.
actually tell you what made me want to go into thanatology. I wanted to be an embalmer. I actually
Oh man.
worked at a funeral home. I
Okay.
changed my mind very quickly.
While you were working there, why is that?
Um, I just couldn't do the embalming anymore. So for health reasons.
The formaldehyde was getting to you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if you have any form of squeamishness, that is definitely not the thing to do. I couldn't do that for the same reason I couldn't be a paramedic, uh, like that. And number one, there are two things that I could not deal with seeing, and one that is animals that are in pain or dying, or children that are in pain or dying. So I could never, in being a mortician or anything like that, I guess I couldn't deal with that. That's like off my radar. But
I remember when I started at the mortuary when I worked there, they said you're gonna have to go next door. There's somebody dropping off a pet. I was like, what? I was used to picking up people. I was like, oh boy, I'm a big pet person, so that was a hard one for me.
yeah,
Do they send a pet there to get cremated?
They have a they have a separate building.
Oh, okay.
and then they go to the pet cemetery
Yeah.
and
Sean,
rise again.
in Sean's
I saw the
backyard.
movie. I know how it works. I saw the movie.
So this funeral home you were working at. So obviously you were much like Ireland was. You were going to school, but also working for them.
I worked at one, then I went to a mortuary and actually worked there, and I had to drive all over the place, like 3 different states to pick up bodies. So fun
What?
times.
Any weird, creepy stories?
Oh yeah, I got some creepy ones.
Well, we're all ears. Let's hear them. Creepier the better.
Are you sure?
100%. I want to hear
Oh
that.
yeah,
Let's see. When my first day of the job, the funeral director on the night shift left, or no, it was the morning shift. They actually left a body in a car overnight, and the other supervisor found it. And I was like, oh my God.
hope it wasn't a
Well,
really hot day.
I don't think the body was going to get up and go anywhere. I was just going to hang out till somebody found him.
I was just in shock by his reaction. So,
It was pretty terrible though.
yes,
Was
it
that?
was terrible.
Can you imagine? You go out. Well, I'll just
And
take the
there it
van.
is.
I'm gonna take the van, run to Starbucks real quick. Holy shit! There's a fucking body
That's
in here.
I think he was going to get lunch or something, and there it was.
Wow.
So, how long did you work there?
It was about 6 months.
6 months.
Yeah.
So we have an ongoing thing. We interviewed a lady about a year ago, and she worked at a sex shop. Okay, and they
Okay.
had a room in the back.
Mhm.
And this old man went back there, and he was back there for hours. And then it finally dawned on her he never came out. Okay, and she found him dead on the floor. My first thought was, well, obviously, really old guy. He was probably taking Viagra. I asked her if he was still saluting. Have you ever run into anything like that?
What?
Once?
Maybe it was the same guy.
Maybe it was the same.
Seen everything in that short time. I was there like 15 hours a day. So
It's like, what is sticking up in this body bag?
there was a poor little old lady out here in Kentucky. It made major headlines like on the news. A Denny's sign fell on her, and I had to deal with that. That was horrible.
Like a big parking lot sign?
Yeah, the big parking lot sign. We had bad winds, and they were in their car getting ready to leave, or I think they were leaving. Yeah, and the sign just fell right on them. I know, right?
I don't know what to say to that, honestly.
It was
Usually I've got a witty comeback, but I know
when you're
that's a
sitting there,
grand slam exit there.
when you're sitting there, you're in your soul, you're just you, and you're deciding to come back for your next reincarnation, and everybody's like planning it out, like, well, I'm gonna die like this. This lady said, "Hold my fucking beer. I'm gonna die from a Denny sign."
I'm gonna go eat a grand slam breakfast and get killed by the sign outside.
What are
yeah,
the odds of that?
that's what I thought too. It was horrible.
Did you have to embalm her?
No, she was actually getting picked up by a different funeral home.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
The mortuary that I worked with, we embalmed them and we also picked them up for the different funeral homes in the area.
Okay, gotcha. That makes sense.
Yeah. And we also worked with like the coroners out here. So
Man, I don't. I would think to myself, I could probably, if I had to, I probably could do it. But if the body looked normal, I probably could.
pretty.
But when you get somebody where the head's smashed in and it looks like a D from a Denny sign, like I don't know if I could do that.
Yeah, we are like what I did, we were like the cleanup crew. So yeah, it's pretty bad.
Wow.
But
Now that's
that was the
fucking Nick's
most
head
strangest
forever.
one.
I hate to ask, or actually I don't. I don't really. Any more interesting stories other than the Denny's sign lady?
Um, car wreck victims, we actually have to find their arms and stuff like that. It's pretty bad. It got pretty nasty. It's not all fun. Cool.
There's something wrong with me, Sean. I instantly was
Well,
like, "Yeah, I
you
got it.
know
I got it. It's right here. I found it. This is the left one."
that. Waving it around right here, right here.
Yeah, and people driving by horrified with their eyes all big, like you're the villain or something. Yeah.
Just
When you got the arm in your hand,
people looking at you and you're just waving their arm.
you're like, oh my God. Yeah.
Hey, so we were talking about somebody that had brought their pet out. When dealing with pets and animals, does sanitology apply to that too?
Yes, there is actually
I would say
services,
so.
grief counseling, and how to move on from that. Yeah.
Okay. So when someone asks, "Where is my dog going now?" what do you say to that? If somebody says, "What happens? Am I going to see my dog again?"
Um, I haven't actually dealt with that yet, but if I did, I would comfort them and let them know they will see them again. I always think as my animals, they're going to be waiting for me. But they have, I know there's different counseling groups, the Rainbow Bridge, everybody knows about that. Um, how your cat or animal will be waiting. So,
Mm-hmm.
I to me, I would probably need counseling for my pets, not
yeah.
so
Uh-huh.
much for my family. I don't like people, so like my cat was sick for a week and I was horrified,
Yeah.
but he's fine now. He's back to being an asshole.
I love cats.
True. It's true.
Why? Why? Okay. Why this field? Has this been a fascination of yours always, or were you just
Uh,
like, what? Hold my beer, watch this. I'm just going to try this.
My family probably thought about that when I wanted to be an embalmer, but no. Um, I was known as like the little ghost girl when I was younger. I had a instance where I told my mom I saw my grandfather and I described him and everything. I was like 2 or 3, and my family collected antiques, and we've always had like bizarre things happen around us. And but yeah, my whole life I've been around the paranormal.
So your family's pretty accepting of the paranormal then,
They are.
for the most part.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, were you the only one to see like spirits growing up, or did you have siblings? Did your parents see them?
I don't think my sisters or brother or anything like that. My mom actually took me around a psychic, and she would see this psychic palm reader. She was a palm reader um in town. I would watch, my mom would leave me with her, and my mom would get her groceries and stuff like that. I remember watching her, and she would take the person's hand and tell them what was around and stuff. And when that instance happened with my grandfather, um, it freaked my mom out, and she asked her about it, of course, but she told my mom to embrace what I had. So
Okay,
here I am.
time out, time out, time out. So your mom dropped you off at a palm reader while she went to the store?
She went to the store for, she got her groceries and stuff. She was elder. She was older.
Oh, okay. So she was getting groceries for this palm reader,
Yes.
and you just okay. I want to clarify because for me it sounded like, hey, sweetie, we're going to Walmart, but I'm not taking you with me. And
Go
she
get your
walked into
fortune
the
told.
psychic office, was like, "Here, watch my kid."
I mean, when I was a kid, I was like, what the hell am I in here for? What is she doing? I remember she did this one thing to this one customer. She told her to open a cabinet door, and there was a candle lit or something. I guess it meant for like a spirit. I was like, oh, that's bullshit. You know, I was a smart kid.
Well, you're not smart now.
No, oh yeah.
Okay.
So which came first, the interest in the paranormal or the interest in death?
I
And
think
that's something.
paranormal kind of found me and death aspect of it. Like, I didn't ask for this. It's kind of like, hey, you're gonna be the ghost girl.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Well,
sometimes how it goes.
the paranormal, I've always said it. You get chosen, and don't matter. Eventually, you're gonna get sucked into it. You can deny
Yeah.
it forever. It'll pull you into it. I mean, obviously, people might deny it, but you're in the paranormal field to find answers of the afterlife. I mean, what other reason? So, but a lot of people don't want to talk about the actual death process of, the living right now.
No,
And, it's a part of life. I mean, it's inevitable. You don't know when you're going to go, you know, just enjoy it, have fun. And, I think we try to look for peace in it, to know that there is something more. It's just not, you're just done and become a tree, and Sean Coletta's toilet paper, it's just, but, I circle back to the tree thing. Hold on. I was watching, they actually have warehouses where they will put you in compost and let your body decompose naturally.
yeah.
And then you can use that compost to, you know, fertilize your tomatoes. Then you turn around and eat grandma.
I don't want all that. I just don't want to be embalmed.
No,
Oh my God.
why is that? What's the reason for that? That you don't want to be involved?
Um, just personally, I respect people who do it. It's just seeing the process, and I just don't want it for me.
Well,
I can assure you won't feel a thing.
Yeah, you won't feel it. Promise. If you do, somebody fucked up on the paperwork, and it's not good.
After they left their body in the back of the hearse for a
huge
day.
compensation.
That's happening lately. If you notice that in the news, there would be like a headline like 75-year-old found alive at the funeral home. I'm like, what in the hell?
Yeah, I have seen that.
How is that even possible? When there's no way after you're embalmed.
I don't even know.
After you're embalmed, no, it doesn't happen after you're
when
embalmed.
they're getting ready to do it, like they're prepping for the embalming and like.
From what I understand, your body can go into this state where looking at you, your breathing is so shallow, your heart rate is so almost non-existent that you would be pronounced legally dead. And then it just so happens that someone notices and, you know, they're like, hey, this person's still alive. That would be terrifying.
Yeah.
Okay, look, I'm not going to lie to you. If I was an embalmer and I had this person on the table and I'm getting everything ready to go, you know, you gotta get ready to open them up. And all of a sudden the dude looks at me, he's like, don't touch me there. I'd probably shit my pants. I'm just saying.
You probably wouldn't have on pants, but yeah, I see what you're saying for sure.
I wouldn't have pants on?
Well, if they're getting ready to do an autopsy, you probably don't have clothes on.
Why would I not?
You're a naked hobbit on a slab. If they're getting ready to do an autopsy,
if I am doing the autopsy, I'm not the person on the table.
Autopsy.
Why the fuck would I be naked?
Because you're weird.
That takes this to a whole nother level, Sean.
Hey, welcome to the Old World Paranormal Podcast. Jenny's like, I'm done. She's done. Now, see, I was saying one thing and you were saying one thing and I was singing something different. But yeah. But that would also be terrifying to be on the table and wake up with the guy getting ready to cut you open, standing over your butt naked.
Sean be like, no, it's cold in here. No, it's cold. It's just cold.
Oh, Lord. Anyway, but yes, that has happened on numerous occasions where people have still been alive on the embalming table. And I think the last one I read about it wasn't all that long ago, and it was on national news.
Yeah.
I believe they started cutting into the person, and apparently when you're dead, your blood doesn't flow like it normally does, of course, because your heart isn't pumping. And when they started cutting into this person, blood was coming out in a way it shouldn't. And then they realized that she was not quite dead. And I think that she came from a nursing home that had pronounced her dead already. So lots of people probably got sued over that one. But yeah, that's
man. Get your money.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean that's more terrifying to me than what gets done with my body after I die, whether I'm embalmed or whatever. What I really want is to be turned into a gemstone. Have you seen that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, that's pretty freaking cool. I think that'd be neat.
Put you in space too, apparently now.
Yep.
Yeah.
They can shoot your ass into space.
Yep. Have somebody mail me to Elon and send me up in a space shuttle. But yeah, there's so many different ways, to have your funeral now, and so many different methods, beliefs. Viking burials. Organic burials, such as being turned into a tree or compost, being turned into a stone. What's your way, Nick? We haven't asked that yet.
I don't know. I've always been terrified for some reason being stuck in a box 6 feet underground. Even though I'm dead.
We put one of those bells in there, so if you're still alive, you can ring the bell.
I probably cremation.
Yeah, me too.
But no, I do have a serious question for you. So, a friend of mine that runs the funeral home,
Mhm.
um, I had she had a family death. Okay, and it was a close one. Um, it was her husband's grandfather. Okay,
Right.
and I remember talking to her afterwards, and I was like, "How are you doing? You know, this or that." She's like, "Actually, I don't know. I haven't had time to cope because she went into like she would at work and organized the whole thing, and she was in work mode. She wasn't in family mode where you're going in and this or that. So she was able to take that emotion out of it. Do you think if that time ever come for you, being a close loved one in that situation, do you think you'd be able to, I don't know, not distance yourself? What is the word I'm looking for here?
What we're supposed to do as a in that
Yeah,
business.
like what you would normally do. I mean, would you try to, like, look, somebody else take care of this. I'm going to be with the family, or would you just kick into what you normally would do, as far as the death process, for somebody, or helping them grieve, or through the funeral process? How would you, I mean, in a nutshell, how would you handle it?
I actually had a coworker that I worked at the first funeral home before I went to the mortuary. My mother passed away, and he made sure that everything was taken care of for me. My mother had colon cancer. It destroyed her body and everything. And I noticed her
Sorry.
makeup, everything was off. Being, in that business, you're gonna notice everything too. And he made the funeral director come up there and fix it for me. That usually don't happen, but he knew what to do. It's like a code, I guess you could say. We just know what to do.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, even in the process, let's say you had a loved one going through the hospice. They're still here, but they're not here. They're going to pass soon. You know,
Right.
um, would you handle it the same way? Would you just get, a coworker to take care of that part of it, or would
I
you
would handle it
you
the
would
same
handle it?
way. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a difficult situation, but I mean, you almost have to prepare yourself for it.
Yeah, you do.
I mean, this is what you do.
Right.
So it's not like a normal 9 to 5 job.
No.
This is just something that a lot of people don't want to touch. That is true. So
No, I will say there's not many people, wanting to be in bomber or anything like that. It's not in
now
high school. You're like, hey, I want to work at a funeral home.
they probably think you're a weirdo, and they would stay away
Yeah, that's how it is.
from. There's the weird chick. Stay away from
Oh my
her.
God. What's wrong with her?
So yeah, so talking about families and the grieving process and whatnot. How does someone find out about people that do what you do? Because you know, in a funeral process, no funeral director or anything is going to mention, "Hey, I know a thanatologist." You know what I mean? So how do people find out about you and what you do?
I actually work with a volunteer at a women's shelter right now, helping them. But it's kind of, you have to pursue it. This is something, it is new. It's a new job. It's a new science. Um, it's like I said, it's a very hard job right now, but it's coming together. So
So is it something that you could partner with a funeral home for?
Yes, some of the funeral directors, they like to do it themselves though. So
Okay. And I guess what makes a thanatologist different than a grieving counselor?
we actually we know about death and how to deal with it. And my goal is you deal with the death and you focus on you now and making goals and, focusing on the living, I guess you can say.
Okay. And
So
that's
pretty
gotta be a
much,
rough conversation.
yeah. I mean, I'm trying to think of this. So you're
You know,
coming up with goals on how to go through the grieving process.
Like, what
Uh,
do you like if you're grieving for like my mom, like if my mom, like what did I do with her? I how I focused on that. I dedicated a book to her, one of her favorite shows, Unsolved Mysteries. So it's just how you deal with handling it. I like to how I deal with death, I try to remember them by doing a certain event or a book, something that's a part of me on the
okay.
of the now.
I mean, grieving counselor, thanatologist. I mean, it's difficult to probably have that conversation of like, look, life goes on. You have to go on. How do we get you there? You know?
Seems to me that's kind of the crux of the whole thing.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
and going through a process, summing that up like that, but going through an entire process to do so kind of seems like what that is. It's, sorry, it's weird to say, but it's almost like sorry about your loss, but life goes on
Yeah.
in a nutshell. But not saying it that way, like picking that apart and going through all the different facets of that process. And I'd imagine that's got to be emotionally taxing for you, Jenny, because you have to be gosh, you have to be sympathetic. You have to be a great listener. I mean,
You have to feel for them, and
yeah.
I mean that's how I am as a person anyway. So this thanatology totally suits me. So
Mhm.
I
So,
mean,
sorry, I was going to say, keeping all that in mind, I know that, when I was talking about, being a paramedic and stuff like that and seeing death and whatnot, how does that affect you? Oh my God, I just had the word in my head. Oh, does it desensitize you to
that's the word I
death?
was looking for.
yeah. Um I tell my family I'm not trying to be morbid or anything like that,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
my sense of humor is different. And I deal with death different, than others.
Hmm.
Um yeah, it does.
Now, do you have a significant other, a husband? Do you have kids or anything?
My husband is Jacob Floyd. No kids.
How does how does he deal with this? Did he know what he was getting into?
No, I was no, he did not. He's actually with me here.
Hello. Is
He
he
looks
alive?
thrilled.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, are
Wait a
Yeah,
you
minute.
is
alive?
he?
Somewhat, yeah.
She's doing the weekend at Bernie's thing. She's raising his hand and everything. We just can't see it.
No, I'm not the body that was left in the car.
Not nobody left in the car.
No, he knows weird stuff started happening when he started dating me, and he was like, "What is going on? I don't believe in this stuff." So yeah, like I said, it's always been part of me, paranormal. Even if I didn't want it, it's there. So
So is your husband a believer now?
yes, he's actually he says sort of. He did the 2 ghost tours. Here, I'll get him on talking.
Okay. Yeah,
He's like, I'm not prepared for this.
I sort of believe in it. I'm usually the one who does most of the talking, so yeah, I did the tours, and I've helped her write the books about the paranormal. I've always thought it was interesting anyway, but I have different beliefs. I guess I don't always believe that they're exactly what people think it is. A lot of the paranormal stuff. So
There's nothing wrong with that.
Nope.
yeah, because I've definitely seen weird things that are hard to explain. It's like when people say there's no evidence to prove it. It's like, well, no, there's no conclusive evidence, but there's a ton of evidence out there that's weird and inexplicable in its own right.
For sure. Absolutely.
So you guys are at the dinner table,
At Denny's.
and
Sure.
you guys are at the dinner table, okay? And you're like, "Well, honey, how was your day?" And
And then
does
she
she?
talks death, and that stuff doesn't really bother me. I'm kind of a horror person anyway, so that stuff doesn't really get to me. But some of the stories she's told me that I just couldn't believe they let it happen, more or less than anything.
Didn't think of it.
Well, would you want me to talk about it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so you talking about with the mortuary? Okay, yeah. So the place you worked at, is it okay to talk about the infant? Okay, so like they picked up a. No, I'm talking about that one. Okay, so there was one. Well, I will say they did make her try to go by herself and pick up really heavy bodies, and I thought that was pretty wrong. I mean, she said what was it, like a 400 pound man. They sent her by herself to pick him up, and I think that's pretty messed up. So but yeah, she's told me some things that I'm just kind of like, well, but it doesn't really gross me out. I'm just kind of shocked that certain places wouldn't be as tight maybe as they should about things.
Yeah.
We did have cow disease.
Oh yeah, she had to pick up somebody who died from mad cow disease or something like that. And so I'm like, I hope they gave you the proper PPE. And she was like, no, they didn't. So
Oof. Oof.
Yeah, I'd be wearing like one of those yellow decon suits.
Yeah, we gotta have a hazmat suit.
yeah,
I wish.
Yeah, they didn't. Well, I don't know. They don't. They didn't.
So her work life doesn't bother you or anything like that?
No, I'm a fairly odd guy anyway. So I'm not bothered by a whole lot of things.
Right on. That's good.
But
That's good.
whoever said they're bothered by animals suffering, I am bothered by that. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, those people are
animals and children, man.
Well, yeah, definitely children. Yeah.
That's one of the harder ones I did was children, picking them up.
Yeah. Yeah, because that's very. I mean, we all pass, but God's not. Like to see him at least get to live first.
Right.
Right.
For sure.
Cool. Yeah. I mean, you're in the car. We got to get your aspect on it, man.
That's all right.
Had to put you on the spot.
That's okay.
All right. I'm back.
You got any other any good questions there on YouTube there, Sean?
How do you forget a body, and how do you explain that to the family if they want a showing? Well, I'm assuming you probably just don't tell them that happened.
It's a lot of yelling and stuff about who. Actually, that happened once. It wasn't me. I was supposed to go get a body here in Lexington, and the paperwork, they got the body already like 2 weeks ago. And they were like, what is going on? But yeah, it does happen. It's crazy.
So if you get bodied 2 weeks previous, I'm assuming there's no funeral happening.
He was supposed to be I don't know what happened with it. It was just and they were like, no, it's your fault. No, it was just, it gets messy when it happens. Nobody wants to take accountability or anything.
Jeez.
I mean, you just throw them in the cooler for a while, Sean.
Yeah, but you can't stay that long like that. I mean, you're still decomposing even if you're in the cooler.
Yeah.
2 weeks is a long time for whether the body's in a cooler or not. You don't want to put that on display.
They would also, when we tag a person, we've had missed tags, and it would just get stupid.
Man, that's the kind of stuff that sounds like it shouldn't happen at all. Like,
it does.
I mean, I could see that happening in somewhere like, it's crazy. I just recently came across a video on YouTube. It was Los Angeles coroner, and they actually had a news person that they took inside of the cooler that they keep the bodies in. And this was basically a warehouse full of body bags because so many people come in on a daily basis. But even then, they still manage to keep things straight. So, man, like, how do you miss tag? How do you? Yeah, I don't know. I suppose it could happen, but geez.
Can you imagine showing up for your grandpa's funeral, and you know how you get that half hour, 45 minutes before the public gets, you get that private time with your loved one. You show up and you walk up to the casket, and it's some old lady.
Like, I didn't know Grandpa became Grandma before he passed away.
Who the fuck is this? Where's my grandpa? They messed it up, and they cremated Grandpa and showed this old lady, and like, well, there's gonna be no viewing for Grandpa.
Or they say one of the family wants the cremation, then they're like, oh, we wanted it embalmed. That's happened.
Too late. That's what I want to do. I want to be cremated. Right. Told my wife already, take some of my ashes and take them down to Disney World, because that's like my favorite place on the planet. Me too. And I told her, I told her exactly where to put them. And I said, make sure that when you do it, you're really old, because you will get caught and you will be banned from Disney World forever, because they pretty much catch everybody. But yeah, that's where I want some of my ashes. But yeah, I don't know. I never understood. Well, I guess in a way I do, but like me personally, when somebody passes away that I know or that's family, I don't want to see their dead body laying in a casket. It's just it's a weird thing for me. And I get it, because people want to be able to see that person and, remember them. I don't want to remember them lying in a casket. In my mind, there is no person there anymore. And so, I want my last memories of a person to be something that we did while they were living. And so I've never understood why somebody would choose that process and spend so much darn money. Funerals are ridiculously expensive. Yeah. So that's why I said, don't put me on display. Put me in a cardboard box, shove me into a fire, let me burn and be done with it. Because I don't want anybody to remember me like that. That's like, I don't know, but it's different with everybody. Some people need that closure, I guess. And I think it's pretty neat that there are people like you, Jenny, that are available to help people find that closure and maybe make it a little bit easier to go on with their lives, knowing that what you did was to help them understand that, maybe death is not the end. And you've had experiences outside of the whole thanatology thing, involved in the paranormal, where you're quite sure that death is not the end. So I think you're doing a really great service to people. And I hope that, obviously our little podcast isn't going to reach millions of people out there, and millions of people. Well, I don't think, not today. I mean, I'll shoot it over to Joe Rogan and see what he says. But, I think
we'll get you on Joe next week. Don't worry about
it. Yeah. I'm thinking that, as you said, with thanatology being a new science develops and moves at such a lightning fast speed This is something that I had heard of before. I didn't know there was a name for it until just recently, but I think as time goes on, it's going to be a more and more common thing. And it sounds like people that are having trouble dealing with the grief of people passing should probably look for someone like yourself to help them through that process, because it seems like there's a big gap between what you do and what like a grief counselor would do, for example. I think it's a more personal level with
It
someone
is.
that does what you do. So I think it's pretty cool.
Thank you.
So, question, I guess for both of you, what would be worse? Well, say Jenny, what would be a more difficult case? Dealing with a family that somebody died tragically all of a sudden, let's say in a car accident, versus a family that had to deal with somebody just for a year, just go through hell of cancer and then finally dying.
The cancer.
You think the cancer is worse?
Yeah.
What do you think, Sean?
Oh man,
To
I
me,
I would say they're going to be relatively equal, but I would say that the scale is probably tipped more toward cancer, because that is such a long, or can be such a long, drawn out process, or it can be an incredibly short process where you don't even have time to process the situation. So I would say probably cancer or something along those lines.
I honestly think a little different. If you're sitting there for a long time watching your loved one go through something like that, treatment after treatment, and knowing that most likely they're not going to make it out of this, you already start that process in your head. Versus if you got up in the morning and everybody was healthy and fine, and that specific family member died that afternoon in a car accident. Like you're not prepared for that.
But on that same note, what you just said, it was someone suffering with cancer or whatever, and you're expecting death. On the opposite side of that coin are people that have the hope, and, people that are praying for them or doing whatever. And so you've got a light at the end of the tunnel. Whether you get to it or not, you still got hope. With someone dying in an accident or something like that, completely unexpected, no preparation. So with somebody who's going to
Well,
be going through something like cancer, there's still hope.
yeah, I mean, you still have hope, but in your mind, you know the outcome is a
Eventually.
possibility.
Yeah.
But with the suddenness of it, like there's no hope, there's no even thinking about it. You're making plans this weekend to go to a baseball game or to a football game, or you know what I'm saying? Like
Hmm.
didn't expect it. To me, I think in that aspect, that's something that where somebody like Jenny would absolutely come into play, because it's like I don't know, you weren't expecting it at all. I mean, it's just bam, they're gone.
Hmm.
I don't know. Settle the debate, Jenny. Settle it. Who's
Um,
right? Who's wrong?
I've worked with both sides. The car wreck victims it it's the same. I guess it is the same from my experience with my mom too. I was mentally preparing myself for it. I knew it was coming, but in the back of your mind, you want that person to live. You want to my when my mom was going, I knew she was getting ready to pass. The cancer took everything over in her body. I wanted her comfortable. That was my goal.
Hmm.
And she got to be comfortable before she passed. And I played songs for her. I had her watch her well she was in a coma, but I played I Love Lucy for her. So that comforted me. And I've worked with families that have lost to diseases as cancer, diabetes, or any other disease. It's all the same, I guess.
Do you think, here's another one for you. So hospice has a couple different avenues you can go. They have hospice facilities you can go to, or you can go home and a hospice nurse
Right.
comes over. A lot of people, debate over this, do you take your loved one home? They're going to pass. They're going through hospice. Very rarely does somebody come out of hospice. It does happen. It does happen. But do you I don't know, do you take your loved one home and let them pass in the comfort of their home?
I wanted to, but my mom was so bad off, we
Mhm.
couldn't, But I've picked up people that have died at home with hospice, and they look more at peace to me. So
What do you
I
think?
think,
Well, if I was put in that position, I would probably not want to bring that person home because I know that they're getting the right care. I would be I would be at that facility probably quite a lot, especially as things deteriorated worse. But um, and it also depends on
You just don't want
their
your house
state.
haunted.
No, that's already happened. Um, yeah, but I think let's say for example that they're in a coma and they're not aware of their surroundings. It would make no sense to have them at home. I don't think it purely for myself would be the only reason, and that's you know I would think that I'd be selfish doing that, but that's just me. Um, but having them in a facility where they're going to get the care they need, knowing that I can still be there, I think, in my opinion, that's what I would choose.
I don't
But
think
yeah,
there's any wrong answers. It's just an
no, no.
interesting conversation. I mean, it's not this conversation that we're all having right now is not we don't, well, me and Sean don't deal with this on an everyday basis. Jenny does, but uh,
Right.
most people in the public don't. We don't deal with this every day. So,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm also a firm believer that, and I know a lot of people again don't want to talk about it, but planning out your end days, what you want done. You know, I've had to deal with funerals where you know everything was already done. I didn't have to deal with that. I had to do the back end stuff, but I've also dealt with a lot of funerals where shit, what do we do? What do we got to, so you're starting from scratch and the clock is ticking per se, and it's like, well, what's the right decision? What's this? What's this? Then you make a decision and this family member gets upset over it, or this family gets up, you know what I
yeah,
mean? It's like, then it becomes a big war in the family. For me, I am a huge advocate for yourself, prepare for it. Put it in a will. I mean, you have a life insurance policy, or put it in a will. Like, look, this is what I want done. It's up to you if you want a viewing. I just want to be cremated, but my ashes here. Or you bought that cemetery plot. You picked out your own casket and vault. You've already picked out your headstone. You've already, because again, this is your death, and then you're done. The living's left to pick up all the pieces.
right.
Not only do they have to, you know, mourn your loss, or some people just celebrate it, but to add that much more stress to the situation, to me, it just makes it a little worse. But that's my opinion. So,
Well, there is no wrong opinion. So
all right, Jenny, we're going to ask you 3 famous questions.
Okay.
I
yeah,
mean,
you should be worried.
these questions are so famous, they're on billboards all across the country.
Okay. I'm ready.
I bullshit.
We didn't say what country.
The what was that one? The United Republic of Bulgaria or something like that.
Something like that.
All right.
Venezuelan something. Yeah.
Now, Jenny, I'm not going to lie. You are one weird individual. That's why we love you.
That's all right. Yeah.
But tell all our listeners an interesting or weird fact that most people wouldn't know about you.
What interesting weird fact? Hmm.
Interesting or weird, either one.
Yeah.
Or weird. Okay. Gosh, that's hard. Come on, guys. Everybody knows I'm weirdo. Let's see.
But what do they know that's weird that we don't know about you?
Well, I can tell you my ghost tour was based on where I used to live in Shepherdsville. I was in a flood 1997 and it wiped out my house. And the other ghost tour was based where my mother worked at Jolie Antiques. And yes, it was haunted, but it is closed now. But that's kind of interesting and weird, I guess.
I suppose that's the weirdest thing you can come up with.
I was expecting something like completely out of left field that would have just been like,
don't tell anybody, but I collect those people's toenails.
Oh my gosh. He's so weird.
Hey, we know somebody that collects teeth, so.
Oh my gosh.
It's facts. It's facts. All right, so second question, here we go. And these next two are paranormal related.
Okay.
So us people in the paranormal field were really quirky about our dinners before our investigations and our snacks during our investigations. Me, it is 100% I have to have Mexican food before my investigations, especially if Sean Collette is going to be there, because that's what I do. I gas him
terrible.
out.
As Charles Barkley says, terrible. Just terrible.
Now, we're also quirky about our snacks and our drinks. So, what are your go-to snack and drink while you're investigating?
Is she still there?
I think she froze.
She froze.
Is she still alive?
I don't know.
This is kind of creepy.
It is creepy.
Do we start the embalming process now?
I think we have to make sure she's still alive.
Sean?
Hi.
Why is she looking at us like that?
I don't know, but it's creeping me out.
It is creepy.
It's like that movie Smile. Uh-oh, she's gone.
She didn't like the question. She lasted an hour. Oh, wait.
I'm back. The phone got
She's
too
back.
hot.
Oh, geez.
She's back. We were starting to question if we had to start the embalming process.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
I told him to wait.
Okay. So, Jenny, what is your go-to snack and drink while you're investigating?
I wait after the investigation to go eat. So I'm one of those people.
Okay, what do you drink?
Gatorade.
Gatorade. Okay. All right. Okay, next question. Sean and I differ in this aspect tremendously. I have tens of thousands of dollars worth of paranormal equipment. Sean has
paperweights.
zero. Now, you have one night, one investigation. You can only bring 3 items to investigate with. What are you bringing?
Well, I would bring my phone. Oh gosh, that's a hard one. A spirit box and a trigger object. So I am the ghost equipment.
That's
true. There you go.
I get that. So fair enough. I like that answer. Trigger object. A lot of people don't talk about that, but trigger objects are huge.
I was going to say, I don't know if we've ever had that answer before. Somebody bringing a trigger object. So that might be a first.
I I like to play cards and get a reaction out of that. So that's one of my favorites. So.
That is a good one. That is a good one.
For sure.
Especially if you know that type of environment, an old speakeasy, brothel, bar, something like that, get them stirred up, put a little whiskey on the table, play some poker. Normally works.
Oh yeah.
So, all right, Jenny.
You just said I was speaking.
Yeah, I was going to say, since you've already introduced me to the show, I was going to say, whatever the paranormal is, my wife is definitely a beacon for it. I can tell you when we were going around looking for haunted locations in our area, following some leads we had to certain other ones, we would go by certain places and Jenny would be like, I feel like there's a ghost or something, and they're going there and talk to the people. Every single time I went in there, they had like an elaborate ghost story. And she doesn't know these people. There's no way this was planned. She wouldn't have been able to fool me, So, and and like when I say elaborate, I mean like they tell me all kinds of stories. They would tell me all kinds of stories.
Oh, I just thought of a strange thing that nobody knew about me. The murder
go ahead.
Well, what is it? The murder that was on the board.
Did she just confess she murdered somebody?
I'll tell you, when I was doing the research for Shepherdsville, the house I lived on Plum Street, the murder happened there in the 1800s. They gave me this little map, and the detective drew little blood, and it led it up to the house on Morton 48 West 3rd Street. And I thought that was very interesting that happened where both houses I lived at.
Oh shit! Wow.
And also, the graveyard that was on our tour, I actually had a headstone on my sidewalk because the owner before they would steal the headstones and put them as sidewalks. So that's something nobody really knows about me. Wow. And I was very much the creepy kid growing up.
Jenny, you're freaking holding out on us here, man. We want the dirt. We want the dirt here. What are you doing? Oh, you've been such a good trooper. Take a couple minutes, plug anything you weigh. Your books, how they can find you with thanatology or anything. Plug away.
My husband is combining our paranormal press with his horror press, Nightmare Press. You find it on Facebook. He's set up a website for it. We're getting ready to be at another book signing here in Louisville at Half Price Books. And awesome. We are actually super excited to be going to the book fair in LaGrange. Tony Akery is running that. He's another horror author. And very excited about Caulfield. They are a 100-year-old business here in Louisville. They're having their first convention, and we're going to be part of that.
Awesome. Amazing. Well, I'm glad we met you. I don't know where you came from. I don't know where Sean found you, but good job, Sean.
The deepest, darkest corners of the interwebs. There she was.
Yeah. This little weirdo right here.
Well, you guys are awesome. Keep kicking ass. Keep doing you. Keep being a beacon of hope to people.
Thank you.
That's the most important thing.
Definitely.
So, all hail Thanos.
Yeah.
Good job, Thanos. I'm
we're up with that.
I'm a little upset, the glove and the rings were not there or whatever they were, but maybe next time. So
yeah.
Well, thank you guys so much for coming on the Old World Paranormal Podcast. Best of luck to you guys in the future, and hey, hopefully at one point we'll run into each other.
Most definitely.
All right, guys. For another wonderful episode, Russia, watch out, man. Just watch out. Watch out, Russia.
That's right.
Till next time, guys. We'll see you.
See you. There we go.
Awesome. All right, guys. Welcome to the post. post-game show on YouTube. We appreciate you guys tuning in and putting up with us for another week. And again, Jenny, thank you so much. I apologize. What was your husband's name again?
Jacob.
Jacob, thanks for being a good sport, buddy.
No problem.
All right, guys. You guys take care.
Thank
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
All right, YouTubers.
YouTubers.
Go get you a copy. Go get you a copy of the new book.
Or 2 copies.
Buy 2 copies and 2 gummies. You'll even see page 3. Bam.
Look at that.
Go get you some of that. Guys, it's got all the juicy details from day 1 of Old World Paranormal Society all the way up to our departure from the Bell Mansion. You want to learn more juicy details about all that good stuff? Paranormal Legacy, Ugly Truth. Get yourself a copy today. Paperback is available now, $25 on Amazon. If you're in Gettysburg, I will have 50 copies available. Come see me.
To be autographed.
Come use this as a paperweight. I don't care. No, please read this. This is good. This, I'm telling you, this gives you a lot of insight onto the trials and tribulations of starting and maintaining a group, the ups and downs, the blessings, the curses, the bullshit, the happiness, the Sean Colettas in your life you have to deal with all the time. And
it's the best part.
It's the best part.
Best part.
So before we get off here, Sean and I are mulling over a couple ideas. And let's put out a poll here in the next week or two, Sean. So I came up with the idea of Sean and I doing an event, Old World Paranormal Podcast event. You know, we'll do a live podcast, a Q&A, then an investigation. Sean came up actually a better idea for once.
Yeah, and it's normal. Yeah.
He has an idea of putting an event on of what? Getting a lot of podcasters together?
I didn't really have like a set amount, but I mean, as many as we can get that want to come out and show up and broadcast and network and things like that. So,
what would you like to see? Let us know. You know, you imagine we're funny now. I mean, just imagine us investigating.
It's like the comedy hour.
So,
just the 2 of us. We can make it if we try. Just the 2 of us.
And we are canceled.
That's all it took.
That's all it took. Hey guys, if you guys are going to be in Gettysburg, 26th, 20, 27th, 28th, come out and see us. The 27th, we will be sitting down. Is it a round table?
The one that we're doing?
Yeah, is that what
more like I guess they're calling it a lecture, but really just speaking. Yeah.
So last year, obviously Sean and I went to the Gettysburg Bash for the first time, and we explored Gettysburg for 4 days, investigated, and had a tremendous investigation with Sean Austin, Kayla Simonton, and Michael Angus. The last night we were there, we were just hanging out. It was a good time, had some fun, but some very interesting stuff happened. So if you get a chance, it's on YouTube. It was Saving the Battlefield, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Saving the Battlefield. Now, again, there was no intentions of filming something. So this is all raw footage, TikTok footage, this or that. But wait to the end. It will open your mind. It's something that happened. I mean, especially for Sean, this was a big eye opener for him, and it didn't affect him until a couple days later. But it also changed my mindset big time after that night. So look forward to that. So if you want to stick around on the 27th, I think it's what, 6:15?
6:15.
6:15. I think we're going to be showing about 20 minutes of the video and then talking about it. So you'll look forward to that. And we will be doing the podcast from Gettysburg Bash. We're working out the logistics and how we don't fuck that up.
We're just gonna wing it.
Yeah, normally how we do it, So, but
We'll make it work.
we appreciate you guys sticking around with us. Make sure you guys like, subscribe. Please share this out. Help us out. We will. I don't know. Are we gonna do one next week, or are we wait until we get back?
We're gonna wait till we get back.
We're gonna wait till we get back. So you maybe during the bash you'll see some lives of the podcast. But our next scheduled one won't be until August. And that is our secret special guest.
Dun, dun, dun.
So, all right, guys, we will see you at the bash. Oh, yeah, I got to end YouTube.
Yeah, we'll let it run all night long. Who knows what the camera would catch? We may not want to see that.